Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
everybody. This is Vince
And Hugo.
and Hugo from Fractal Universe. And today we are launching a new video series, basically, the Fractal Talks, where we're going to invite a bunch of different people, and mostly people that had a huge impact on the band. And it's going to be the case of today's guest, because you're going to meet today the man that is behind all our artworks since the very beginning of the band. And also all our merchandise design and everything. So chances are, if you're wearing a Fractal Universe shirt, it's one of his designs. So today we have the pleasure of having Shad with us. Hello, Shad. How are you doing?
Hello, guys. So my name's Shad. I've been with Fractal Universe for like 5 years, I think. It's still from the very beginning. I've been designing about everything that's not photographs. So if you've seen them live, if you've had merch, if you've bought the albums, I've probably made it. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure for having you tonight. Well,
yeah, the idea is really to give all the people that are not the musicians a little bit of focus, and so that all of you guys in the chat can get to meet them a little bit and know how they work and everything. So the first question I have for you is basically, who are you? How did you become a designer? So what's your story, basically?
So my name's Robin. I'm 27. I've been drawing my whole life, and I've known from a very young age that I wanted it to be my job. I met Hugo in high school when we were like 15. We became friends there. And after turning 18 and going to make studies, I went to art school. So I did 3 years of art school. And during all of art school and all of high school, and even a little bit before, I was posting artworks online. I began early with forums like conceptart.org, Café Salé in France, and I needed a link for posting online, so that was Shad, and that sticked ever since art school, and I use it for my career now.
Yeah, and why that name?
So it was, I was like 11 or 12, and I wanted to play Warcraft 3 with my friend during the summer, and I was like, I was going by Shadow at the time because of Shadow the Hedgehog, because I'm edgy and dark. And Shadow was already taken. And you needed at least 4 characters to have Nick on Battle.net. So I went with Shad, and it let me in, and I started using it everywhere because I had no nickname before. So that's it.
Cool.
So can we say that your drawing career is somewhat linked to video games, somehow?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started with comics. I read Dragon Ball, and I was like, oh, that's the shit. I want to do that all my life. But then I played Pokemon first, and then Ratchet and Clank 2. And these are the 2 big games that made me go, okay, so comics are a thing that I love, but it's a ton of work. It's really hard to make a career out of it. Video games are a lot of work too, but they are way more permissive, and you can do a lot more because you're part of a team. So I started with playing games, and I'm the type of person that just wants to do the things that what I consume, I want to make. So I listen to music, I want to play guitar, I play games, I want to make them. So I went like, okay, let's try. And through art school, I got in a section that was specialized in concept art. So I tried to branch from here. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's there is really an obvious connection between your artworks and video games, and I think many people have mentioned that before, especially with the cover from Rhythms of Insanity. We had several people that told us, yeah, basically the different characters look like video game characters from like a fantasy world. many things. So
Yeah,
I think you managed to bring that still into our artworks as well.
that's really cool to hear. That the inspirations for Rhizomes was literally just the album had a really strong narrative going on, and I primarily design characters, so I wanted to just let go of any constraints and just have fun. And like if it was okay with you guys, I could just like design a bunch of them and stack them and have them like a big like a movie poster somehow, with the whole roster of characters standing there. And yeah, that's probably the most the less illustrative work that I've done for you guys, and the most like concept arty, charactery.
Yeah, it totally
Okay.
works for us. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna basically right after this section, we're gonna, I think, try to run through every artwork you did for the band, and yeah, all the drafts you sent us. So you
Yeah,
can definitely
got
tell
a
us more
bunch
about
of
that
freak
later on.
stuff to show.
Just to finish with all the introduction stuff. So you mentioned you've been to art school as well.
Yeah.
What school was that?
So that was Pivot. It's a school from Nantes in France. It's a multidisciplinary school, so you can do something that's more gonna be like graphic design, or even 2D animation, traditional animation. And I initially went for traditional animation, but when I discovered the whole concept art field was around when I got to school, like 1 year prior. So I pivoted from animation to concept design and video game work. And I did 3 years over there. And you guys contacted me like 6 months or 8 months after I had finished school. So that was pretty good timing.
Yeah.
And I've heard after that you went to Canada. Was it for studies as well?
No, it was just one of my big goals in life is to travel through every country possible, and as much as possible, not travel like 1 week or 2 weeks as a tourist, but to actually live here and meet people and meet the local culture and stuff. So one really good opportunity to do that when you're less than 30 years old in France is PVT. And I actually got accepted. It's an open visa that lasts 2 years, and you aren't tied to a job or to anything. You can just be there and work or not work or do anything. So it's a draft. It's you can't just fill a form and get it. It's a lottery, and I got the chance to win this place. So I just went for 2 years, live in Montreal. It was super cool.
Okay, so what did you do there?
I tried to. So that's probably something that we'll talk about later. But I've been freelancing for the past like 4 or 5 years, but not enough to like make the whole of my living. So I wanted to start like kicking up freelance a notch, but pandemic happened, so that was not the best thing. So I had a barista job for like a year, and I traveled a bit around the country, and that's basically it. The coming back to France was a bit rushed because of the whole situation, but it was still a great experience. I'd love to go back actually and do a bit more.
And so you mentioned you like to travel to different countries and some stuff like that. Have you done something in another country? I mean, apart from Canada now, where you really stayed for a longer period of time.
We're from I think every one of us maybe at least Hugo and I know are from the northern eastern France, so it's like really close to Germany and Luxembourg, so Belgium also. So I went to these three because that's like the easy kind of traveling. You do like an hour of car and you're there. So I did those three. I did England back in high school too. We actually slept in the same house with Hugo.
Exactly.
We were 1 week with a kind of strange family that didn't talk to us at all. It was very weird, but it was a super fun stay.
Yeah, I think those kind of families just, I think that they earn a bit of money from housing some students like us. So maybe the talking part wasn't a part of the contract. I don't know.
It wasn't what they were after, maybe. And yeah, next step would be I would love to do Spain and Italy, but like once the pandemic is somewhat over, or at least not as much of a problem. And then like a ton of stuff, Eastern Europe. I want to go there as soon as possible, and everything.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take
So now basically you are back in France. What are your current plans? What are you doing at the moment, especially during the pandemic?
During the pandemic, I couldn't really. My day job is customer service, right? And everything is closed. So I kind of went customer service because it's a stable way to earn a living, and that allows freelancing a lot on the side and not being dependent on freelance to earn your living and stuff. And I thought, oh, that's a surefire way to make your living. Nothing's ever gonna happen to restaurants and stuff and bars. And the pandemic happened, so
yeah. Okay.
For now, I'm a bit of a traveler. I go at my parents, at friends. I'm at my girlfriend's right now. I move from place to place. The most important thing for me is that I stay productive and that I just draw a lot, paint a lot, and make portfolio pieces and send them. And that's the big thing for now.
Yeah, really interesting. Okay, very nice. I'm just gonna.
And so how did?
I'm gonna take a minute to say hi to the people in the chat here. Hello Sylvia, Piotr.
Yeah,
hello Ben. There is Ben here, another high school friend. And Jamil. And of course, thank you very much.
Is Ben here?
Yeah, the band. The.
Oh, so fun.
And yeah, thank you, I Don't Apple, for your subscription. Really appreciate it. So
guys, feel free to ask any question you want. Shad is here to answer them. So if there's anything specific you want to know, feel free. We're going to try to cover different topics, obviously, but feel free. Don't be shy. And yeah, I was going to ask basically how our collaboration started. You mentioned it was right after you finished your art school.
Yeah,
basically.
That was like.
So how did it all start?
It was a few months after art school. I had started looking for jobs. I got turned down. I remember I applied for a jazz magazine that was starting up and looking for illustrators. And I love music. We can talk about that later if you want. But I really love music. It's a huge part of my life. So I was already trying to make illustrations that would get me a foot in the door in that type of universe. And I got turned down from a magazine that I would have loved to be a part of. So I remember being super bummed out about that. And it was Hugo who contacted me, I think a few weeks after that. It was really not a long time. So I was really bummed out, and I wasn't really feeling super proud of myself and of my work and stuff. And Hugo comes around and asks me, "Hey, I see that you're doing painting and pictures and stuff, and we're making this new band, and we need an illustrator for our album covers. Would you like to be a part of it?" And when I saw the message, I didn't respond instantly. I think I waited like 1 or 2 days because I didn't know if I should say yes or no, because I felt like super bummed out. I'm sure that's something that every artist of every discipline just experiments and has to deal with. But you have cycles when you feel like you're the shit and you're making the best work ever. And then there's the crash from that when you feel like you're a fraud, and there's imposter syndrome and stuff. And I was at that time, at that point of the cycle. So I really didn't felt like I should say, yeah, sure, I make you great pictures and it's all gonna be good and stuff. And I had no professional experience at all at this point. So I waited like 48 hours, I think. And then I told him exactly that I wasn't sure I would make a great work, but I'm gonna try. I would try everything that I could to make the best work that I could, and that started like 5 years of collaboration. So I'm really happy that I kicked myself to say yes.
Well, thank you very much.
So are we.
And I've just found out the actual message. It was the 31 October 2014.
Oh, 7 years ago.
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Almost, yeah.
So, and
So
you,
yeah, basically from our end, we were talking about, we needed an artwork for the EP that was going to be released. And yeah, basically Hugo said, yeah, I know a guy who's like really good at drawing. And I think he showed me your Tumblr website.
It used to be my
or
portfolio,
something like that. Yeah. And yeah, basically it was so like really personal and diverse. And yeah, we decided just to go and ask you. And I think, yeah, that was a really good decision. And I think now you're really part of like the whole aesthetic of the band. You're really a part of it all, and I think an important part.
Thank you so much.
Like as you said, you've designed our all our artworks, all our stage decorations, all our merchandise. So I think when people think about Fractal Universe, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but people picture, I think, this really particular style of yours as well.
That is just so cool to hear. Like I love whenever I hear about people, or I see people, or I go on the internet and I see people like talking about the work that we did together. I'm just so hyped because in a way I feel like I started in my career with working with you with one of the best jobs you could have, because it's something that I care about personally. It's not like something that I don't know. It's not the job side of things where you're asked to do something that is super separate from what you would do naturally. I feel like what you do sonically and what I do pictorially is really like there's not much to arrange or to rework for it to work together, and I feel like it's just an incredible opportunity. So I'm really grateful when I hear this type of thing.
to be honest, we really started. We didn't know where we were going at all, and yeah, we didn't have any experience either. So yeah, I think it's nice that we kept working all together, and we. It's nice that we are here now at this point.
Yeah, we grew up together, sort
Basically,
of. It's so cool.
And we have a
Yeah,
question.
totally. And I think we try to really value that. As you can see in the band, we have the same lineup since the beginning. We're working with you, Shad,
Yeah.
since the beginning. We're working with our producer, Flavia Morel, since the beginning. And yeah, we really try to build this kind of long-term working relationships because, yeah, I think that's part of what makes the identity of a band. And the band is not only like the 4 people standing on stage, but there's all the people working on the project as well. And that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I think this concept of like having talks with people gravitating around the band but not being part of the direct band, I think it's super cool. And I've already mentioned that in private, but it's like it's not something that you are obligated in any way to do, but it's showing a different part of the whole project of the band. And it's it's really cool using your audience to like prop up your collaborators and stuff. I love it.
So we have a question in the chat here. Out of all 4 album covers, which one is your favorite? But I think we will get into details for each one of those artworks. Maybe you wanna answer maybe later. I don't know.
I can straight up tell you it's the last one. The
Okay.
Impossible Reason.
Great.
But like it's always gonna be this. I think your last work is the one you prefer. At least I tend to be this way. I try to go like 120% on everything I do. Like when it's for myself, when it's personal projects, I sometimes switch it up. I'm like, oh, this project isn't going anywhere. I'm not gonna finish it. I tend to do that a lot because I have like a lot of ideas going through my mind at the same time. So I try to divvy it up and mix it up and stuff. When it's for something that's bigger than myself, when it's for other people, I just try to put everything I have in it. And I think with time and practicing, everyone just gets better and better. So 120% from 2020 is better than 120% from like 2015. So that's it for me.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
Piotr is asking if you're designing artworks for other bands also, or other death metal bands, or any other bands.
Absolutely love to. If you're a band and you want to have stuff designed that's colorful and that's intricate, please come see me. But no, I haven't, mostly because I haven't been in a concert in like 2.5 years, I think. I started in Montreal, then I got to work a job and I had no time for it. Then same the pandemic. I had a bunch of opportunities like a few years ago, but it was like friends of friends, or like not a direct relationship. So I wanted to do that, but the persons, like either the band didn't make it, so there was like 3 rehearsals and the projects got cancelled, or I did stuff but it was cancelled anyway, or some people just like pinged me and I was like, yeah, okay, tell me what you need. And they're the one pinging me, so that's kind of funny because usually it's the other way around. But like I never hear back, so. But I would love to. Same thing. We can talk about that next. But I love music, and the way I paint is really tied to music in a way. So like painting for music and for musicians and for bands is like the best thing ever for me. It's closing two worlds in one. It's the best thing.
Yeah, okay. It's like joining the two things you love, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people here in the chat.
So what music are you listening to?
I listen to a whole bunch of stuff. Just everything. For a long time in my life, I was like, oh, everything but rap. And no, I love rap also. So like everything. I used to be a big metalhead. When I was in high school, we used to listen to a bunch of records. Hugo introduced me to Obscura, which was really cool and a really fun story too. I listened to, like, for a long time, my favorite bands were Disturbed and Metallica. So purists will be like, oh, that's commercial and mainstream and stuff, but I love them. And then when I got to art school, I got introduced to I don't know what artist. I think it's Porter Robinson. Anyway, it was some kind of dubstep. And I discovered electronic music, and I made an entire switch where now it's like 80% of what I listen to on the regular. But yeah, everything.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think I have some gigabytes of music that you actually gave me back in the high school years. That.
Oh yeah, we used to share a ton of stuff.
Yeah, I still got it on my hard drive somewhere.
I have the transcription that you made, because we are both like Ratchet and Clank fans. And yeah, you were training. I think you were training to transcript on site. And you asked me what music I would love a transcription of, but I didn't have. And I told you like a random team from a random planet of Ratchet and Clank 2. And you gave me a guitar profile that had the partition of this music, and I still have it somewhere in like an old hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I used to do that a lot. Yeah, transcribing music for fun, actually.
That's like the best training ever. I should do that more.
I think I think my ear growed a lot from those kinds of exercises. And my recognition and stuff like that. I think I just get better from just try to write down music I hear. It's a really great exercise.
Yeah, I try to do some of that sometimes, but for me, like there was a time. I'm just gonna put some context on this. There was a time in my life where I was actively deciding between pursuing art or music as a career. I wanted, just before going to art school, I was wondering if I should go to music school or to art school. And I decided that I love music and I couldn't. I had already started to muddy the waters with art and painting and designing, so that I could bear it becoming a job. But music is like pure. It's pure fun. It's like childlike fun, and I can't have the discipline to like. I've been practicing guitar for like 15 years, and I suck at it, and I have no plan of getting at a professional level ever, because I just enjoy taking my shitty guitar and making dumb riffs, and that's it. And I tried to ear train and to transcribe stuff, but I'm just really bad. So sometimes it works, and I riff for 5 minutes on the same jazzy stuff, and sometimes it doesn't, and like that's it.
Okay, I see. All right.
So you're playing the guitar, any other instruments? Or?
Yeah, I just like countries. I mean, I just want to play every instrument ever. I have an old synthesizer. It's not a synthesizer, like it's just a keyboard with a pre-made sound in it, and it's really old. It's an old Yamaha PSR. When I found it back at my parents, I was like, I had totally forgotten I had it, so I hadn't played it ever, and I decided, okay, now I'm learning the piano. That was like 5 or 6 years ago, I think, and ukulele, just because it's like a tiny guitar, so it wasn't really a different instrument per se, even if like it's got its own technicalities that I'm super bad at, but it's still a string instrument. And I think that's it. I would love to play with marimbas, but like they're huge and super expensive, and I have no way of acquiring one, but the tone is so beautiful.
Yeah. If if you don't have a big house, maybe stay to the to the keyboard. I don't know, to synthesizer. Yeah, it's those things are really huge. But yeah, but lovely, of course, lovely.
Okay, I think we can start jumping into the maybe the artwork rundown.
Yeah, and we just have.
As we talked earlier about how our collaboration started.
Yeah.
Maybe we can dive into the very first artwork you made for us, so Boundaries of Reality. How did that happen? What was the process you went through, and can you talk maybe a little bit about what the artworks mean to you?
That's gonna answer as well Aiden Sapples, who asked about the process.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a bunch of stuff, and I'm gonna talk about what it was, what it became, and what it's now, and I don't know, hopefully it will change again. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I need to have the pic open.
Let's see if I can manage to show it on screen and not just fail at it. Is it on? Did you share the screen yet?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Okay, where is it? Oh yeah, it's here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I have it.
Okay. So I just want to take a brief moment to thank everyone. It's like my first live stream ever on Twitch. I've never been on stream before. So thank you to everyone in the chat that said nice things. That's like super cool, and I love you.
we have the best chat ever, actually. All those guys are really lovely and full of nice things. Thank you again, guys.
And hello, Johnny, by the way.
Hey.
How are you?
Is my
yeah, we
my
have
stream on the stream?
Yep, I think this is one.
Okay.
This is the this is one of the first sketches you did for Boundaries, right?
That's like the very first sketch I made and sent you. Those are the three. And this one wasn't actually part of it. It was just like personal goofing off and stuff. And you were the one telling me, I think I published it on Facebook back in the day. And you came and told me like, oh, is this for the band? I love it. And it wasn't planned. And I had no plan especially for it. But I think I sent it in the first batch of research and sketches. So like I said, I'm usually more of a character designer. Like I've always had characters as a kind of instinctive subject. So I started with really like figures and trying to make mock-ups of what would be a good album cover. And then you told me that it was like cool in the concept, but it wasn't matching with what the EP was about and what the visual language and the concept that you wanted to have. So we went with something that was more abstract and that was more landscapey instead of just a single character. So I started with this and I tried this. And like we discussed earlier, this one I never sent you because I felt it was cheesy and just like bad sci-fi and stuff. So I think I sent you this. And at this time, it was, like I said, my first time ever working for someone else.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I had a rough time just trying to understand what was fitting with because you had sent me the full tracks for me to listen, and you had sent me like concepts of what the band wanted to achieve and what the lyrics were talking about and stuff. And I had a rough time because that was the first time that I had external input on creating something and generating something. So I went with this, and you told me that it was interesting, but that it needed refinement, which totally needs refinement. So I started just painting away and making it more interesting, more detailed, more contrasty, and we started having this. And I remember that you were, so that's why also the last record, Impossible Horizon, is really fun in a way for me to have made this picture because I remember that from this point on, you wanted a green cover. It was like something you had discussed among yourselves, and you wanted something that was green. Yeah. So we tried a green version, but the contrast wasn't really good. It was muddying the colors and stuff. And at the time, I could fix it now because just years have passed and I've practiced my craft and I know better. But at the time, I couldn't fix it. So I tried other colors. I tried blue and I tried purple. And purple just had more contrast to it, and it had just a better like visualization. So we went with this. And then there were like
all the
things to do
to the other layout.
The layout. That's it. Thank you. But yeah, so this first work, it was really about for me. It was about changing myself to go beyond what I know and to do what somebody else expects me to do. And like I said earlier, I'm in the mindset in general that I just want to deliver. Like I had told you guys, I'm gonna make something of quality. So even if it's not something that I'm comfortable doing on instinct, I'm gonna work until I deliver some standard of quality that I consider any good. So I just went and I bashed my head. Like the left version here is like probably around the 15-hour mark, something like that. And the right version, which isn't that much different, but there's like lots more tiny details and stuff, that would not take me much longer to do now. But back then, I think I was at something like 30 or 35 hours of just detailing and making the picture what I thought was better and stuff. And I still like the composition. Like I think that's a strong composition, and even though I would, if I was to remake the picture, I wouldn't change it. I just would render differently and stuff. But and also the concept of the band and everything that was presented in the first EP was really something that I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed listening to it, and I felt challenged because it's not a simple, straightforward concept. It was already pretty philosophical, and it had to deal with a lot of like nuanced and complicated stuff and intricated. So I wanted to transcribe that in painting, and I thought like there's no way to have such an intricate concept and have it rendered super simply with like a very graphical type of picture. Like for example, this one is way too graphical, and if it was to be pushed, I would have put a ton of detail in it. But even like the framing, the black framing and the white background and stuff, that's like super graphical, and I think that wouldn't have matched at all. So like props to you for choosing what I think was the best option.
Yeah, well, I think it was just natural. I think you said it really right. The music, all the nuances, all the different layers into the music and the lyrics, you actually managed to adapt it to a visual thing. And
yeah, that's like a recurring theme, I feel, because every time you guys make a new album, like you always send me the tracks in advance, and it works perfectly for me because I just like I don't think I have synesthesia per se, but I do see colors and things popping, like not precise things, but when I listen to something, I have just a mental landscape that I can like pull inspiration from. And every new album, I feel, builds on the precedents in terms of groove complexity and just different instrumentation parts and like different lyric layers and stuff. And I feel like that's always an element that prevails in your music, and that's always something that I want to emphasize in the painting.
okay,
That's it for. I thought I had more draft, but for the first EP, that was the only thing that I had. Oh yeah, not. I didn't use Procreate for that one. That was back in 2014 or 2015. So that was done in Photoshop. Back in the day, I worked in Photoshop. I actually did some work for you guys in Procreate. That was for the sketches for the last album.
okay.
And also the t-shirt designs for, I think it was for Rhythm of Insanity. I think the graphical t-shirt.
Yeah, the Rhombus one, right?
Yeah, that's
okay.
it. It's made in Procreate. I'm gonna show you later some Procreate work.
Great. Just for those like me who don't know, what is Procreate actually?
Oh,
is it another software for drawing? I believe.
Yeah. So I think it was in 2016. Apple came out with the iPad Pro that had the stylus to draw on. And it was a bit of a revolution because before you had to have like a computer and a graphic tablet. So you had Wacom, essentially, which is the main graphic tablet manufacturer. And you had to have apps that run on iPad. And Photoshop is like super heavy and laggy and buggy. So you can't run that on a tiny iPad from 2016. So Procreate was already a thing back then. You could just paint with your finger. And with the iPad Pro, a lot of even professional renowned artists that is using Procreate, that's an iPad app, to paint like on the go. And the more time passed, the more it got market adoption, and now you have full-blown professional art, professional illustration, concept art and stuff that are made entirely on an iPad. That's pretty crazy.
Okay, thanks. Great.
No problem. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna share now. Oh yeah, sorry.
Maybe let's jump to Engram of Decline, the second work you did for us.
So The stream should be on right now.
Yep, just 1 minute. Yep.
What evolved in between the working process between boundaries and grammatic line?
So
Did you change anything in how we worked together, and then in how you worked on your own to get all of these ideas?
when you came to me for Ngram, I was like, okay, this time I need to step it up, because it's not gonna be a discovery of the process for me. We've already worked together once, so I need to one up myself. I need to make something better. And at the time, I was playing with the idea of what's the word? Oh, sorry. So, like kid bashing, but visually. So kid bashing is when modelers have like set pieces, like for example, Warhammer or Gundam are popular thing to do kit bash with. You take a tiny piece of your model and you glue it to something else that's not supposed to be a part of the kit, and you use this to make like new designs, a bit like Lego. So I was wanted to do this. In concept art, it's called photobashing. It's the same concept, but with 2D elements, but from photography. And I didn't like, I've never been like a fan of photograph accurate type work. That's not my thing. I'd much rather show a lot of brush strokes, have a lot of style going on, a lot of design choices, personal design choices being made. So I was playing with photobashing, but with my own stuff. Instead of photo sources that would give a very realistic look, I use multiple paintings. So this is the start. This has nothing to do, just like the form of the face, you can see is a bit reminiscent from the final.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was just a painting of a random samurai, nothing special going on. And I decided to take it and twist it as like a primary canvas and apply it. So that's the first iteration. So you can see it's like multiplied, compression. I painted on top also. So you take the same picture, you multiply it, you use layer modes. For those who know Photoshop, it's like a way to show the picture on top. So you have multiple layers. You take the top layer and you make it influence the bottom layer, instead of having them both compete and both show at the same time. So you can go pretty deep with it. And if you multiply the process like X numbers of time, you can get a more complex image. And I felt, and I still do use this, even on the last work I did, I used it a lot. I think it's a great way to get complexity, but to make it happen in an organic way rather than to work super hard for it. Because if you labor a lot over an image, it's gonna show. Like if you are not having a good time, if you're not exploring, if you're not kind of playing in a way. And I think that's just the same as improvising in music. If you're like playing with your friends and you're like, oh, what's the note I should be playing, and what's the rhythm, and it's super, it's like coming at it with an attitude of a pupil in school. It's not gonna get you anywhere. But if you're playing and you're introducing complexity like little by little and managing it, you can get pretty deep, but still retain like the very basic idea. So that's where I think it stopped. Or maybe there was a darkening pass at the end. And for this one, I remember wanting to do a full color illustration, because the first one was like black and white and then a pass of color that was just a single color. And I remember just the concept of fractal in itself. When you see fractal representations of mathematical function, they're like this super intricate and colorful, almost like a microscopic view that just replicate themselves in and out. And I wanted to transcribe this concept, but have it take life in the middle of a normal painting and not of a fractal painting per se. So that's something that I did also with the last cover, applied differently.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I came up with this. I remember hitting this point, and you were telling me that you love the colors, love the light, but wanting to see more complexity.
Well,
and at the time,
yeah.
this state of the beast was probably like for now, it would be a sketch for me. It would be like maybe 1 or 2 hour sketch. At the time, that was maybe already something like 15 or 20 hours in maybe. And I was like, wow, that's the most complex picture I've ever made. That's insane. I'm so good. And I send it to you. And you go like, oh, we love it. We genuinely love it. But we would love it to have more complexity.
Well, yeah,
And so
actually, it's kind of a standard in metal album covers, especially in the style we did back then, like the more technical death metal stuff.
yeah,
All those covers are really complex and really, really detailed. And I think somehow we wanted it to match a bit what was released at that time. And well, I think you've managed to surpass yourself then.
Yeah, and that's what I love about working with other people, because when you're working for yourself, you're basically your art director. So you're gonna self-direct yourself, and then there's a point where you assume that you can't push yourself anymore. When you're working for other people, you have not only to bring great standards, but if they don't like it, they're gonna tell you and they're gonna push you until you have a good delivery, a good picture to deliver. And that's super cool, because I actually think that I learned a ton, especially from this picture and from Rhizome. I'm going to talk about Rhizome later. It was a turning point, I think, in my whole way of approaching things. So yeah, I was at that point, and you told me to bring more complexity. So I tried as much as I could, and ended up with this. And then we put the logo on, and it was not reading. It was reading, but like not the best it could. So then we darkened it, and it popped a bit more. And okay, so this is like the final stage. And at this point, I think same thing as before. This was about like 15 to 20 hours. This was probably around 40. It had taken me just a bunch of time. This, like, it's a small adjustment. It's like 10 minutes work. It's nothing. But getting to that stage was a ton of work. And in this one, I really started to, if I can zoom in. Oh, no, I can't. Yeah, a bit. So all of this is like hand painted. And there's like a bit of duplication going on, but once you have duplicated the same element like twice, you spot it.
Yeah.
Like the human brain just spots patterns super easily. So you can't just get get away with copying your own painting and bashing it indefinitely. It looks fake, it looks artificial, it looks just bad, and you don't really know why. And that's just because we spot the patterns.
Okay.
So like everything is duplicated, but then I go with just a brush, and I just brush over everything and paint and like take care about edges and light and colors and everything I can. So for people who have never painted a picture before, edges is something you see in cinema too. It's like the concept of having something being really precise and full of detail. And for example, those green lightnings, they are really sharp, and they show each branch is showing separately. And then you have the concept of lost edges, and that's when you don't have detail because the light isn't hitting the same way. So that would be the face, for example. There's some detail, but it's blurry and it's mixed, and all of this is done by hand. so it takes a while. And I got lost making this picture. I tuned some music in, and I would just refine for hours on end. And that's actually been my process ever since. And I had never done it to that point before making that picture. So that was super cool. That was a revelation for me. It's like getting into the zone. I wouldn't really, all the work has been established, and then you just go ahead and meditate and refine stuff. So this is from the lyrics booklet. We had a blank page that needed to be filled. And I wanted to, because it was the booklet, it didn't need to be like a massive scene and a massive, cinematic potential picture. It didn't need to be this. And I wanted to emphasize like the band members, but with the concept of fractal and with the complexity and stuff. So I sent you this in as a sketch, and you actually just gave me the okay for it. So
Yeah.
Same thing. I just spent, I think like about 10 hours refining it, and I came up with this. So that's like U4.
Yeah.
I could have done you better justice now, but
How
I
did
still
you?
think the image is fun. So.
What material do you use? What reference do you use for that? Just pictures of different pictures of us?
Yeah, I went on your Facebook back then, and on the Fractal Universe Facebook, and I got every photo I could, and also just the photo I had from the previous I had a montage of it right there. Yeah.
Actually,
So this, I need to change the streaming.
for those who have bought the Engram CD, it's on the last page of the booklet.
Yeah, that's it. So I use this.
It's also the cover from the tab book, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you used it as a cover? That's so nice.
And
I didn't know.
we did some stickers
I mean,
out
for
of
the
it.
for the digital
that's
tab
so
book
cool.
on the album.
Yeah, I use these photos as well.
All the pictures. Oops.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. The stream is gonna be back in 1 second. I just forgot to not close it. So I'm gonna get back to where we were.
It's really cool actually because on the Engram of Decline cover, that face, what's a big symbol for that album. Actually, for the music video for Scar Legacy of Hatred, for those of you who have seen it, we kind of got inspired by this very face here, and it's funny now to see on your sketches where it started. The samurai guy.
Yeah, it was actually just a personal painting.
So it's funny to see. Yeah, that's funny to see his actual face of that guy here. I never saw that before. It's very nice.
Yeah, I remember that I wanted to have the idea behind this sketch was to have like the shape of the Fractal Universe logo be like the center stage of the painted picture. Because exactly, the logo, like you said, in Death Metal, visuals tend to be like super intricate and detailed and stuff. And what I've always loved about the logo is that it's super simple and pure. So if you have, that has always been my thought, that if you have a lineup for a festival or a concert or anything, you have all these logos that are super intricate, and then there's Fractal Universe.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing if you go to a convention and you get business cards from artists, and you have all these illustrators and concept artists that are so good, and they give you business cards that are super illustrated and beautiful. And then there's one guy that gives you his name in black on white with like a tiny logo. And that's always the one that I'm checking first, because it's just, it's out of context. Like it doesn't, in a way, it doesn't belong. So it makes it pop out more. And I wanted to play on that and illustrate it like really in a complex manner, but with the same shape.
Definitely, that was definitely a deliberate choice for us to have an actual readable logo. And yeah, I think in that way we
let's talk about it maybe. How did this logo emerge actually?
Switch to the logo folder. So it's a bit of a mixed bag between happenstance and like trying to make up with what you can. Up, there we go. So this is the first draft that you sent me.
Beautiful.
And
for those...
yeah, basically what we did is a brainstorming session with Hugo and I. And we tried just different nonsense. And then Hugo had the enlightening idea to try and put the two words right behind, one below the other, you know what I mean? And then, something started to emerge, like this idea of the rhombus. And I think, Hugo, you said, this was your biggest contribution, your most proud contribution to the band,
my proudest,
to date, when that happened.
That's like a symbol.
That very file here. We were just the two of us sitting in front of my computer on Microsoft Paint, and this is a true story. We did that on Microsoft Paint, and then sending it to you, and you did it. You did something more professional out of it.
Yeah. So the thing I knew was that same thing. I wanted to deliver on quality, but I'm in no way, even though I'm not a logo designer, I'm not really a graphic artist, I'm really more of an illustrator or a concept artist. I can design things and I can criticize the design of something and make constructive criticism to fix something, but I can't produce graphical, graphic design. It's just not my expertise. I can do makeshift stuff, but I can't create everything. So I genuinely thought that the concept behind the logo was just solid. It was just symbolic, and like I said, you could spot it right away, and it would pop off in a context of super intricate and sometimes not.
I think we just lost the communication. Can you
can
you repeat your last phrase? Sorry. No. Hello.
Oh, where did it go?
Just one sentence.
Okay, so I was just saying that I thought the logo was really solid in its concept, and I knew that I couldn't bring something that would be miles ahead better in terms of concept. So I wanted to just bring execution to the same concept. So I went and just vectorized the logo, I made it by hand. I just blew your version up and just made a proper vector version of it. So it's sizable and scalable indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
And then because it was it was implied in the first that there would be a fractal shapes.
We tried. We tried things.
No, that's really good. And it was just I think yesterday on Twitter that a tweet blew up of somebody showing a stick figure that's in a sofa sitting, and the caption was, "If you're a commissioner and you commission art and you do this kind of thing, thank you and I love you." And I couldn't agree more, because this is 100 times better than just having back and forth on text and concepts and stuff. There's everything. The execution is it's made in paint and stuff, and it's not gonna print well in a huge size, but the concept is just there and it's understandable. So that's all you need to work with, and it's great. So I just went and tried to have plays with fractal shapes and flowy to contrast, because the logo in itself is really it's stark, it's strong, it's straight. So I wanted to have the back be really intricate and flowy, to have a two-tone contrast. And I think we went with the one on the bottom. And so we made it white. And at first, when I was thinking of the logo, I was thinking of it as this, as the whole fractal universe typography plus the fractal on the back. And later we just went with this, not on the first EP, there's all of it, but later we just went with this because usually the pictures behind are already super complex, so it reads better as just a simple logo on top of a component like painting.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a black version. And oh yeah, so for the second album, we were wanting to maybe have the logo be complex and intricate and stuff. So we made different versions, but that's exactly what I told about just now. It wasn't readable because the painting underneath was already super intricate. So
yeah.
So we stayed with that one, and this is like the definitive version. I straight up the C's. I think in the last versions, the C is a bit more open.
Oh, really?
I made it during second album, I think. And that's it.
Oh, didn't read it.
And so third album. Oh, I'm gonna check the chat.
Yeah, we have a question from Aiden's Apple, who asks if you use some fractal dimension ratios like generators and initiators.
Yeah, so
don't exactly know what does that mean,
and
actually.
I think you yourself tried a fractal generator back in the day for before boundaries. Like before you came to me, I think you told me I've tried working with a fractal generator, but I'm not having a great time. I don't know. So I tried to actually. I tried generating a few fractals and stuff, and it influenced the way I thought about complexity and the way I thought about putting it inside my work, but I couldn't make some appealing ones. So I didn't use them even as canvases to paint on and stuff. I thought it was like, I'm not an expert at all in fractal generation software, so it was really finicky. And I have a really hands-on approach. Like I just love sticking big brush strokes and small brush strokes and having them interface correctly with each other. So I tried, but it was not, these types of software. I don't remember the name of the one I tried, but I know I downloaded and tried one, and it was really interesting, but it was also really not the type of thing that you just, maybe it has changed, no, I don't know, but like it wasn't the thing that I could take for 10 minutes and make something with it. Because like any 2D software I can open, I don't know it. 10 minutes later, I've got a few basic functions down and that's good to work, but that wasn't the case. So moving on to the third collaboration.
That will be
first sketch.
Rhythms of Insanity.
Yeah, it's the final picture is, like I mentioned before, it's one of the big turning points in maybe even my career. I don't know, like the way I thought about what I can do. So these were mood boards. Like, oh, sorry, those two. Those two were mood boards. That was my new process at the time, that I would just paint random stuff, just abstraction, use them just like before to like patchwork and copy and paste and stuff. So I came up with this, and I remember listening to Rhizome. It's like, I think it's the first time you had a saxophone on, or maybe it was in a bonus track before, but it was, I felt like it really popped in Rhizome. And I love saxophones.
We had sax on Engram as well. But yeah.
Oh, but I think maybe you heard the pre-productions without the sax when you made the record. That's totally possible.
And so in Rhizome, I remember hearing the sax and being hit by it because, like, to me, be it music or art, everything is about contrast. And that's actually like my favorite track from the last album is Clockwork Expectation, because that's exactly it. It's like a big rise, then you have some powerful riff, then you have a clear singing, then you have a saxophone solo. You just have everything. It's like, it's contrast. Every time the song moves, there's a new part introduced, and it's not clashing per se with what was before, but it's definitely not what you would have expected to be the way the song moves. And so Rhizome had the same really smooth sax on top of like super heavy and intricate riff, and it really hit me. So that was just warm and red and orange and fire and
Totally
just
agree. Yeah.
that type of mood. Oh, I cut?
No, I just said that I definitely agreed with you on the
Okay, sorry.
musical colors here.
Yeah. So that was like the big inspiration. So this was the first sketch, second sketch, and third sketch. And I remember, I'm gonna cycle through them while I talk. I remember that you loved this colors, but like every other sketch had something interesting. Not enough to be on its own, but everything had a part of it that would fit in a bigger, a grander picture. So literally what we decided to do was, okay, we take this foundation, this color scheme, and we put every picture in one. Just the three sketches that I sent you, we just mix them and have like a big scene. And also, that was the second time that we had to work with roll-ups on the side of the scene. So last time for Ngram, it was my first time making roll-ups and working with such a format. This time I could plan for it in advance, and I could just have a big picture. That's why there are squares in the side, because I planned for the center to be the cover and then the side to be the roll-ups. So what you're seeing here is what you're seeing in the scene, in the final backdrop for the show. So when we put the three sketches as one, it gave this. And that's where like the video game vibes come from, because that's basically just like if I had done concept design and just designed like 6 or 7 or 8 characters and just take them and put them all in a big scene. And I really wanted to have this warm and smooth kind of quality. So it started really reddish, almost pink.
Yeah, indeed.
And I remember you told me like, okay, we love the colors, but we're still a metal band, so we can't have something that's too pinkish. So maybe keep it, but tone the pink a bit down and make it more red. And I was like, oh yeah, makes sense. So we actually went with something more orange red, and it evolved from here. And yeah, everything in this picture is like, you can really zoom in and oh, that's a work in progress, where you can see that it's really erratic. I wanted to show it on purpose because it's like I just make a complex mess of paintings, and then I bring back what I want on top. So I make a ton of layers, then I compact them all down to one, and then I just paint on top and on top and on top.
Amazing.
And that's for me. Sorry?
Yeah, I said amazing, sorry.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And so, yeah, that's the way I bring complexity. And once we were at that stage, we decided that maybe the characters were too big and that the roll-ups character weren't differentiating themselves enough. So we made the scene bigger by diminishing the size of the characters. And like you can really zoom in this picture and have everything, like in the final, everything can be really zoomed and still retain a high degree of complexity and still retain an illustrative quality. And for this one, I don't know how many hours 19, but I remember I was at the time I was living. That was before, right before going to Canada. So I was in Nantes, where I lived at the time, and I made the picture for like 2 weeks. Then I was at my girlfriend's parents' place, and I was working the whole week on the picture. Then I went back to my parents, and I still worked 2 weeks on the picture. And every time I would have a work session on a picture, it was like 4-5 hours. So I think this one is maybe 70 or 80 hours. It's like, to this day, it's the most time I've spent on a single picture. And it really gave me a big insight on what I can accomplish, not if I level up my craft, but if with my current skill level, I just put straight up more time in things and just use patience as a tool. And I'm a really impatient guy in life. I love everything, so I want to do everything at once. And like illustration just doesn't work this way. You have to take time. And this picture, the whole set, just gave me probably the biggest confidence boost of my career as an artist. And when I gave you the finals, I was like, I'm so proud of this. I'm genuinely, like, I always, like I said, I always try to bring my A game when working with you. But this was like, for me, I feel like it was unprecedented. And now I still like it, and I would still take a lot of hard work to bring something to that level again. And I think I have like other shots, maybe. Yeah, so this was the last pack. We wanted to have like some flamey, wavy elements going around the scene to like tie everything together. So this is like what we were talking about having some shitty things, just communicating things I put quickly and easily, and actually being super good in the process of working and refining something. This is like me literally with the mouse, just making indications, and this is refined. So this took a while, but it all stems from that idea and you validating the idea. And it didn't need, at this time, it didn't need to be more refined, because if I would have invested the, like, I don't know, 10 hours to paint every flame and stuff, and you were like, oh, we don't like frames, we would like to have, I don't know, lightnings or maybe a cloud of gas or stuff, then I would have to paint 10 or 15 hours more. But this was like 2 minutes. And if it wasn't what was needed for the picture, no problem. I can make another from scratch, and that's 2 minutes invested. That's like I can do 100 of these and still have time for coffee.
I think the idea behind those flames, long things, was just to try to add some rhizomes actually on the cover.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
We made a poster out of it, and it really looks great in a big format on paper.
Yeah.
And I think someone in the chat just mentioned that. Jamil is saying he has this picture on the wall just in front of him right now.
Yo, that's so cool. Thank you so much for having this. I have like Rhizome is the first time that a friend of mine that didn't know about the band, just knew that I was working with the band on something, just knew the name. She was at school, at 3D animation school, and she had a classmate that had the t-shirt of this character. And she sent me a photo, a selfie of them with the t-shirt, and I was like, yo, someone's wearing my t-shirt. And like, I knew some people who were wearing the shirts because obviously you were commissioning me for them, so people were buying them, but I had never seen it in the wild. I had seen it like in your fan photos on Facebook or stuff, but I had never seen it from just a random casual encounter from a friend of mine. That was like, whoa. That the feeling of somebody just wearing what you have worked on, what you have done is just, it's insane. I live for it.
Yeah, I can imagine. This is huge.
Yeah. And so these are like various shots. This is the backdrop format. This is the cover. This is without the logo. So you can see even like the background is really detailed, and I tried as much as possible to have a really illustrative type of thing. This is a zoom in, so you can see a bit. Oh, I need to zoom out, okay. This is the other one. So those are the two roll-ups.
Yeah.
This is a good example of what I was talking about earlier, about communicating quickly with sketches and stuff. We wanted to have a t-shirt that was maybe black and white. And I was loving the idea. So I took the main character of the backdrop and the album cover, and I wanted to have a portrait shot of it. So I went black and white, and I drew this from scratch. And it took me like, I don't know how many hours, but like a lot of hours. And it just wasn't vibing with you. And it wasn't really the type of thing you wanted on the t-shirt. So I should have sent a sketch before, and that's a huge learning lesson. And that's the same thing that I told about earlier. Like, you don't get this type of experience and expertise from working only for yourself. And that's like, that's a really a learning opportunity. And that's a lesson that I carry on with everything I do. And I love it. Like, I don't really even, I think I would do a much better job on this visual right now, but I remember when I did it and why I did it, and I just love it for this because it taught me something super important. Like, you know, once you learn a thing one time, it's with you for the rest of your life. So, and these were the directions we explored for the second t-shirt. So this is all made in Procreate. These are this one is made on Photoshop as well, but this is Procreate.
Okay.
So this one, that one, all of those are all Procreate. And so yeah, it was decided that because Hugo, you had a huge contribution to the logo, as you said earlier, and it was symbolic, and everyone can recognize it from a mile away. We decided that it would be a great symbol to have on a t-shirt, because at this point it was the third album, so people were already knowing the visual identity of the band, and it would make like a good iconic type of design. So I just tried to vary texture, and I wanted to dive the deepest as I could technically in this type of death metal, really intricate black, white on black type of visual. So these are all tries around the same idea. And we decided to go with that one and make it like a monochrome, not just black and white, but we tried monochrome. So in the orange reddish tint of the album, and we tried a bunch. So this was actually what we did for the t-shirt.
Yep.
And it's like way better than the black and white version. And it's straight up just a cut from the initial painting. So that took like 5 minutes of concepting and maybe an hour or 2 hours of cleanup. And the other visual, it was just like the wrong way of doing things. It was way too finished to be a sketch to send. And it was like, yeah, just this was the right way to do things. And I think we went with that one. Or maybe that one. I don't remember.
That one, I think.
Not this one, I think.
So
That's Soren's eye, totally.
yeah, that was like a big inspiration for all of this, because I mean it's orange and it's black and it's intricate. So yeah, I'm gonna switch to the Impossible Reason.
Hey,
If
yeah.
you want to like take questions or stuff while I switch the stream.
Yeah, well, I think we've answered the question we had, but if you guys have more, feel free. Really, don't hesitate. But this is so cool. I'm learning a lot of stuff as well. Not only people, but it's amazing to discover all these stories around all these artworks.
Yeah, I'm rediscovering some stuff myself because I've some of them I've made recently, like this sketch. I remember like the mindset I was in and stuff. But some of these were like 5-6 years ago, and I didn't remember them. So that was like this week when I was compiling everything. I was searching through my archive folders, and I was like, "Oh, that's right, I made this." Some I didn't even remember. That's so fun.
And
that's why I love too about like long collaboration is you get an history of working with the people, and you know like what they vibe with, what they don't vibe with, their way of doing things. So for example, when you told me that you were going for a third album, I was like, okay, super cool, just send me like the tracks and the description, and I just go ham and make a bunch of sketches, and then we can choose. And I knew that we had this pipeline of choosing from a wide range of things and then narrowing it down and refining something. And I was confident in the fact that my initial drafts would be perceived as initial drafts and not as like the level of quality that I cap at. And so that's something that I tried with these sketches, was to be all about communicating stuff and not about sending you finished or fake finished pictures just to show that I'm able to do them, because I knew we had the history of working together and I could like be myself, and I would trust you to make good choices based on what you thought was good for the album and for the band. And I knew that you would trust me in that sketches are sketches and they're not like the finished project. So this is the first one. And this is the second one.
Jamil is asking what's the main theme behind the Impassable Horizon, lyrics and artwork wise, and maybe the link between the two. For the lyrics, Vince, maybe you have something to say.
Yeah, I think that's important, maybe before we dive into these sketches. So yeah, basically the main theme behind the lyrics, again, it's a concept record. The main theme is the idea of death, and more specifically what death means to us as human beings, how we manage to basically live with the perspective of death being ahead of us. And so there's really this whole questioning about what it means to us, what it means to be aware of our own mortality. And in the record, we look at it in terms of like spirituality, in terms of art, and all these ways of looking at things. And I think that's really obvious when you look at the different sketches you just went through. You have this idea of death that is omnipresent here.
So that's something that I think it's also because we're evolving at the same time, and like we're all around the same age, and we're all like in maybe similar stages of our careers at around the same time. But every time you went with a concept in the album, it was always something that rang true with me and that was current to like my inner thoughts, because everything you do is like, it's really groovy and it's really intricate and musical, and I love it as a music. But when it's when you dive in the lyrics, it's like really philosophical, and I love philosophy, and I love just I feel like it's the way you interface with life in general, whether you think you are a philosopher or not. You just have patterns of thinking and thoughts that come regularly into your head, and if you don't know them, you can't articulate them, but you have them. And I love philosophy, and at the time you came to me with this album, I was really heavily thinking about, like, not about death and in the sense that I'm gonna die, but in the sense of, oh yeah, mortality. Like, we're here, and I was 25 at the time. And I was like, no, I'm not just a fresh out of school student anymore. I've lived for a bit, I've made mistakes, I've had successes, and ultimately I'm responsible for how I spend my time alive. And that was really hitting hard, not in a really deep and like depressing way, just hitting hard in a personal way. So I was really, I tried to put forward as much of time passing was a big thing that I was trying to emphasize, and just the not life being frail, but just life being uh, a, multi- a multiple of itself, like multiple stages of life compounding each other, and where you are now being sometimes a product of where you were before. And I don't know, that just hit a lot and resonated a lot. So ultimately, we went with this sketch, and it's the one I think that had the most of this life being a set of stages and stuff. And it was really clear in my mind, but I remember having to explain it to you because some of this was just really sketchy, like it's waterfalls on the right, and it's maybe not obvious at the first time. So we went with this, and we went with a green cover album. And that was something that you had wanted for since Boundaries of Reality. So I thought it was really fitting as well, because if you see like in movies or in TV shows, green is always associated with either poison or mental health problems, or just death and bad guys and like negative connotations. So I thought it was really fitting with the team. So I went all out on the green. And you can already see I was trying to introduce like different, the IZ to signify passing of time. And this is like the different steps of life, of not decomposing life, but like advancing towards more and more decay as time passes. And this is like a river of souls. So I went ahead and, same as I told before, bashed some of the picture in itself to have like an emphasis on fractal design and like things being a cycle and repeating each other. So this eye was copied there and there. But if I had just copied it and oh, same, this is being copied right under.
Yeah.
But if it's just copied, it's not gonna be good. So everything is painting on top as well.
Okay, so you copied some parts of it and then repainting on it just to not have an actual copy, but the same idea but different.
Yeah, that's to act as a guide and like to save time, because you don't have to fix everything in a technical from the technical way. You already have like a canvas that's prepped for you. But if you just let it sit as is, it's just gonna be really cheesy. In fact, just like a pre-made sort of way. And it all comes back to patterns and pattern recognition. So then we made color tests. And then I told you, okay, so you had validated. So this was the first round of sketches. And you had already told me that you were on board with the concept of the image. You just wanted it greener, but you were loving the direction it went in. So I told myself, okay, the picture is validated. I just need to go ham and to make the best thing I can and to just dive deep and bring back the energy from working on the previous cover. And so that's what I did. I spent a bunch of time just making everything as clean and as interesting as I could. And I copied this to there too, but then repainted everything. like if you look at it closely, no two things are the same. Like the idea was that you could zoom in anywhere. And I was a bit more social media minded at this time. I had learned a thing or two. So I thought if you can make your social media promotion with just one visual, but zooming in different parts every time, you essentially get like, I don't know, 50 or 60 different illustrations, and you can have like a top-notch promotional content, but I will have made just one picture. And I will not have spent like an entire year on a single project. And it's like best of both worlds. So I did just that, and you can zoom anywhere and have like as much as I can a working illustration. And that's like the basis for the cover album and the backdrop. And I think you've already made a bunch of posts with like parts of it.
Exactly.
And to me, right now, I feel like this is my best work so far. I think I have not topped it. I finished it maybe in last August or September. I'm not sure. Oh no, maybe October. I think I finished it in October, in late October. And I don't think I've topped this since. So there you can see the figure was super intricate, but the background was like very simple. So I went ahead and make a background pass. And then we needed for, I think that's the crystal tray, maybe. We needed a large format. So same thing. I went with something super sketchy. And I told you, if you like the idea, this is going to be the same way of, the same level of refinement as on the right. But like you can see artifacts, you can see big brush strokes, you can see that this doesn't match. It's like, it's the same shitty paint job thing, but it works. It communicates the idea. And then I extracted the front and I made a free illustration of the back just to have a background that you can use anywhere and prop up anything on top. And that way it's modular.
It's funny because that's the background for the Twitch window here.
Yeah.
If you don't know if you
for the website.
Yeah,
also,
I don't know if you see the live stream right now, but we have several.
I don't know if I want to try because I wanted to have the stream
of course,
while it was going on, but like my connection is super unstable.
Okay,
we got only once today. That's like a miracle. So
we have.
But I will go later.
We have this picture on the background of the live stream actually. That's funny.
That's so cool. But that's something I learned actually from doing the previous cover, is that sometimes you need things that are intricate and that are interesting to look at, but that are not full-blown stories. They just need to be a bit back down, a bit tamer, and just be interesting enough when you look at it, but they're not the center of the stage. And this is the type of thing where at first, my first instinct is to say, oh yeah, I want contrast everywhere. I want to put a broken ship and like tornadoes and stuff. That's not the point. The point is just to have a simple thing that can be used in concert with something else, not like be the center of the attention. And I think that's something that's a bit, maybe not harder, but you have to be more elegant in the way you do it. Because if you're too tame, it's just dull and interesting to look at. And if you're too funky and contrasty and stuff, then it's just another illustrations and it won't function as just a backdrop for something else. And then I put back the main visual in it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're moving to the, thank you so much, Aiden Sapples. I'm glad that you enjoyed this. It's copied and then everything redrawn. So it's kind of both.
Well, we did some posters for that one as well.
And I think I try, each time I talk about this artwork, I try to bring to people's attention that it has this kind of fractal structure, because many people don't notice it on the first glance. And I think, yeah, this is one of the artworks that really works well when it's printed like big, like on a vinyl. I think the vinyls will look really amazing.
That was
because you can, or in poster, as
that's
we
what I was
discussed
saying.
before, because you can really
looks great
zoom
on
into it and discover all the little details. And yeah, I think that's kind of exactly the point of a fractal, and also the point of how we write music, because you have that general image, but still you can zoom in and find new details, find new elements of surprises. And yeah, that's the same thing as in our music. I think you can listen to the song, but with new listens, you're gonna find new details every time. And that's also how I find this totally blends together with our music so well.
When I'm painting things for you, I have you record on repeat for like hours on end. And then when it's getting to the like 20, 40 hours mark, I just switch it up and have something else. But at the base, when we're trying stuff, when we're exploring, I infuse the music in my mind. And that's exactly what I feel like. No two listening is going to bring the same experience, because you just keep noticing things popping, like maybe something in the back of the mix or something that's in the right and you didn't hear the first time, and then a layer that's really specific and that just complements something but doesn't take the show. And that's like, I really vibe with this type of music in general, and I really want to pay homage to it if I can when I do the visuals for it. And I think that's something that when we started working together, I was approaching, but I was not grasping entirely. Like, I was trying my best at it, but maybe I was still too technically limited. And now I feel much more confident in like blending stuff, but also making it pop when it's needed and having it just be a continuous mass of things, but that interact with each other and don't just compete for attention, and instead like flow and pass in between, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
definitely.
And Ludo loves the transition between the color between this album and the previous one, and I totally agree with that. And I think that's that's something we really want to focus on. Obviously, we have you working on the records every time, so it's going to be the same person behind it, so the same style. But still, I think each one of them really looks different from the others and has its own personality, its own story to it, and that's something I really love. There is this continuity, but still every single one of them has its own personality, like with the music again, I think.
I tried as well. We mentioned this when we were speaking earlier, like in private. But when I made the sketch for this one, I was really thinking about Engram of Decline, because the composition is somewhat the same. Like, it's a centerpiece with things around it. And I wanted to avoid it looking the same and looking like a rehash of a concept that would have already been a front face of an album. So instead of having the centerpiece be glowing and be like muddled out, an undescribed mud, I made the exact opposite and toned down the background and have the centerpiece be the center of attention, not because of contrast, but because of sheer details and reference to the writing material and everything just coming together as not contrast, but matter, like the density of subject matter.
I see.
And then we went for the roll-ups. So this was a bit different, because you had told me that in order to bring the setup in more venues, you had to adapt the roll-ups, not only to be part of the main visual, but also they would need to function as one entity if needed. So that's why I didn't work with the same setup as before, with the squares in the angles to cut out roll-ups from the main visual. Instead, I made the centerpiece and have it like be open-ended at the edges so that it can connect with a bit of anything. And then I made the two roll-ups as a single picture that perfectly interfaces itself at the center, but can be split. And the cover album can be in the center of the two roll-ups if needed. So that was a bit of a design puzzle twist, and that was like super enjoyable to do, because same thing, that's a constraint that comes from real life and just practicality. Some venues just can't accommodate for a 5 by 4 meter tall backdrop.
That's it.
So you have to design something and problem solve around a really specific thing. And this type of specific thing, I'm never gonna encounter by working for myself. If I want to make a picture that's like 7 feet tall or like 8 meter wide, I just can't do everything I want. This was not the case, so it forced me to do something that was unexpected and that was really fun to solve, because I couldn't just use what I know. I had to make tries and make use of things I know and adapt them to a new situation. So we tried this, and this was really the right one, was really reminiscent of Ngram and of the roll-ups from Ngram. And like the idea wasn't refused per se, but you told me that it was maybe too reminiscent and that we needed more contrast. So I had made same thing as before. I showed you this path, and it was still like the left one was okay, and it was better interface with the themes of the album. But the right one, I tried to differentiate it by making it stand off more in terms of textures, but like the concept in itself was still not making it. So we tried a bunch of sketches once again, and these are like maybe 45 to an hour and a half, 35 minutes to 1 hour and a half. So the first one,
Impressive.
the second one, third, fourth, and I think, yeah, there's a fifth. And so there for the half, I think. And each of these could have been refined and made into a full illustration.
Yeah, exactly.
And they all interfaced with like the left roll-up. So this was super fun to do, because at this point in time, we were like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months into collaborating in this project. And it was like getting a new phase of like a second wind, like you have a new phase of exploration when it was just refining and finishing up until now. So it just mixes things up. And because I'm someone who just loves everything at once and can't make up my mind and Jane just wants to do a bunch of things, this was super fun to explore. So eventually you chose that one, and we decided that the right structure would be a reminder of the left, but that it needed not to compete. So we toned it down a bit, put more contrast in it, and then it needed also to work if it was going to be in black and white. And I don't have them, but it's supposed to work also in a slim format.
Yeah,
so
a long format.
Every single one of this picture can be cut, and you can have 4 of them. And if you wanted, you could bring 4 roll-ups to your venue and just pick and choose which one you wanted. And I thought that was super fun, because same thing again, that's just the context of a real band having real world concept and considerations to make. And that's not something I'm going to come up like working at my desk on my own.
Yeah.
So that was like a blast.
Those things we've learned them by making mistakes as well, and seeing many venues, different venues, that sometimes small, sometimes big. And yeah, we brainstormed a bit to think what would be the best option to adapt to any kind of stage size. And yeah, I think it worked pretty well for now. Now we just need to tour again to test all of it. But for now, for all we did on stage for now, it worked really well.
Yeah, I'm super glad to hear it.
And yeah,
as you started to show, we decided in the end to go with a black and white version of it. Simply, that was really an advice of our lighting designer, Florent, who said that it would be really hard to make green work with different colors. For example, a green background with like red lightnings would be,
I think,
really weird maybe, and so we decided to go with this black and white version to so basically the picture can absorb each color and look different under different lights and look great in any of these cases. So this is why we decided to go with that choice. And from the artist residencies we did so far, the tests on stage, I think it was really the right decision.
And
look amazing that
same
way.
thing, like I could have never figured this out on my own because obviously I'm not a lightning engineer. So that's just something I couldn't have figured out. And now that it's mentioned and it's out there, it seems logical in a way. And it's the thing that makes sense. But I guess you had to, same thing, like tour and show at venues where like maybe the lightning was clashing with the previous visuals before it became a problem. And so it's like emergent problem solving. I don't know. I feel like that's, I mean, if the problem is not a big deal that's impeding the band and everything, it's really what makes, it's really the salt in this kind of jobs that you have to make do with what you have and then try to bring the best with the problems that you have and how to solve around them. So I really love that. It keeps you on your toes. It's not always the same thing.
Yeah.
I love this. So this is the t-shirt. This is test for the t-shirt. And we decided to do the same thing as the previous one, to just take the main visual and have it spot on a t-shirt and have the logo accompany it. So that way it's the most beautiful it could be. And also it's really faster. So like, because, how do I say that? We learn from our mistakes easily. And that's it for everything on the Impossible Horizon. And I'm just gonna show real quick because I don't know why they didn't show before, but I have the roll-ups from Engram, which were the first that we did. Well, so this should be smooth. So on Engram, I tried to make roll-ups and it was my first time and I didn't know how to go. So I just made a bunch of like mind sketches and just ambiances and trying to see if something pops. And then I made this and I thought this was worth exploring. So I made multiple versions and sent them to you. And I sent you, I think I sent you this one and then that one. And we decided to have like two faces reminiscent of the center. And that was the first roll-up set, roll-up and backdrop set. And we decided to bring everything to unity by having them all be kind of blue and having the centerpiece stay like yellow, green. And that's it. So this was the first, and the t-shirts. This was the first set of roll-ups.
Yeah, and I think those flames, ghost flames, finally ended up in the booklet of the album.
Yeah, I don't have I didn't find the files of the booklet. I have them on another drive, but yeah, they were right there. And I love this too. like I said, I'm at the base, I'm not a graphic designer, but like making booklets is something I felt like I was capable of doing them, and I wanted to do it with my own twist and in my own way. So every booklet of every album or EP has like a nice graphical background or some illustrations that's spotted in. So sometimes it's a bit hard because you have lots of stuff to fit in not so many pages. So sometimes I can't like take a full illustration and just put it occupy one full page. But it's really fun to same thing, just accommodate and use what you don't know in a traditional way. You use your personality and your taste and your design sense to just bring the best you can, and it's gonna be more personal as a result of it, because you did not do things by the book. You did things based on your instinct and on what you think looks good. And I don't know if you can relate to that, but it's a principle that I apply to literally everything in my life, and for example music as well. If you make something that's technically false but it sounds good, then it's good. And I used to be really, I want to learn my scales and just always play on key and just never make a mistake. And no, I'm just, yeah, whatever. I'll do things, and if they sound good, they're good, and that's it.
Yeah, I think we had this discussion music-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to that. I'm a composer. I love composing. I'm also a very analytical person. I know a lot about music theory and all that stuff. But I think the more you learn about music theory and all of that, the more you learn that actually all these rules can be broken once you know them. So basically, you learn all of this stuff just to know that there are no rules at all in the end.
Yeah,
that's fascinating, I think. And you can always try to analyze afterwards what you've been doing. In the beginning, I think it all starts from this kind of creative spark and intuition. Basically,
that's exactly how I feel about like any creative discipline. You have to ignite the spark, and that's why in my daily life, whenever somebody is telling me they want to paint or they want to design stuff or anything, even if I'm not qualified to like teach them, for example, graphic design, I just encourage them because the spark is everything. And after that, like you can reach a degree of technical literacy to be appealing to other people and other people's perceptions. But then it's all about what do you have to say, what do you have to comment, to pass, to make your art say. And this is just like you said, you learn the rules and then you learn to break them. For example, if I were to make this picture 5 years ago, I would never have gone with intricate flesh-like motifs and then immediately after having to the lightnings, because I would have thought they were two of the same type of visual languages. But because I think it looks good and I try to make it adjust to my perception, I'm like, okay, there's no real rule. If I feel like it looks good and people think it looks good too, then it's good, and that's it. That's what I love. That's the most freeing thing about art in general, I think, when you can reach past the boundaries of theory and just go to personal expression instead. Oh no, not at all.
That doesn't mean theory is useless. It just means absolutely not. I think it's absolutely great to know, to understand how things are done, but these are just then merely tools that you can or cannot use later on. But I think it's the most powerful thing is to deliberately think about not using the rules,
because
and
like,
not
if you're just ignorant of the rules, you are just like I said about philosophy earlier. You can think about it or you can not think about it, but you have thoughts that go through your head 24/7, and that make you make decisions and make you have a priority system and all those things. And it's the same thing in art. What you don't know, you are controlled by, and what you know, you can choose to use or not. And that's really the thing I recommend everybody is to, when they come to me for learning art, is to do a bunch of really academic exercises, but not end your practice session here, and to end with personal exploration, and always have personal exploration after having academics. Because if you just do personal exploration, you have no foundation to stand on, and you don't learn anything, and you're just playing. And it's fine to play, it's really cool to play, but it's not learning. And then if you just do academics, you're gonna do things by the book, and you're gonna be a student, and you can stay a student of a specific craft like all your life. And to pass the point of being a student and to come into personal expression, just like you said, you have to know the rules and to choose which one you use and which one you leave for now.
I can totally relate to that also in my teaching, when I try to teach like composition and all of that kind of stuff. You really have the part of learning the rules, but
Yeah.
as you said, the exercise doesn't stop there. I totally love that way of seeing things. So basically, yeah, that's it for all our collaborations since the very beginning of the band. What about your other projects that you have had in the past, having at the moment, or applying for the future?
A bit of something. So this is my current part of my current art. So this is concept art. So it's really less illustrative, and it's all about making characters and having them fit into a world and stuff. So every single one of those characters, I don't write stories. I'm not a writer at all. But like when I'm designing, I'm just thinking about stories that the character could have. So these are all aimed at being in a video game. So these are like they take a bunch of inspiration from a bunch of different worlds and stuff that influenced me. And I'm gonna open a lot more. So this is a night maker. I would love to make this as a real project. So you have a night, and you can just, so this is a early proof of concept. It's never gonna like see the light of day, but you could just have like a 3D character maker, but just with different parts of equipment, and have it be for role playing, for people who do D&D or any type of role play. You could just, I don't know, download the app or go to the site and have a bunch of really intricately designed, illustrated design ready to go, and just make it your own. So this is like a fun project. It's not a concept art for. So I wanted to show this because it's ongoing, and you have different stages of designing. So this is for a concept art book, so just character designs and objects that the characters would use in same thing, a video game type setting. So this is the first stage. There's no design yet, there's just a pose. And then I would design things a bit and put flats on. Then I would refine the designs and refine a bit the flats. So these are all about the same stages. And you have object design, so what the characters would use. So this is about like crafty diesel punk vampire killers, because you have to mix it up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's a recurring theme in everything I do, that I try to pull from everything because I like everything. And that's what, again, I think works well for working with the band, because it innately relates to the concept of small and big and infinite, because just everything pops from everywhere. So if you're a diesel punk character and you're hunting for vampires, you need stuff like garlic, a knife, but you also need a burrito, because you're gonna go hungry. And then I'm gonna talk about a bit more professional projects. So earlier this year, I got contacted by a friend of mine who was participating to an open air expo in the city of Nantes. So I've lived in Nantes for my studies for like 8 years. It's it's where it's the city that adopted me somehow. I love it, and I love this city. So the concept was to make anything that would be printed very big, and that would go in the streets of Nantes for like a week for an open air expo about street art and about Valentine's Day. So same thing, I started very rough. I submitted this to my friend, made refinements, and finally it was this. And same idea. I chose to show this because it's like pretty similar to what I do for Fractal Universe in a sense, because Valentine's Day, it was with a critical angle. It was not like a brand Valentine's Day type of thing. It was like, oh, that's consumerism and stuff. So I didn't really vibe with I vibe with the angle of the topic, but not the topic itself. Like, I'm not gonna draw pink hearts and fun stuff and flowers. So I went with a vampire type character that has like the colors associated with Valentine's Day, but just complexity and just a twist on the vibe. So that's it. And so this is the big one. Last year, I got contacted by an American artist that is a mutual following on Twitter, and that makes her name is Stephanie Cost, and she makes beautiful, same thing, intricate artwork like Magic the Gathering type artwork. I don't know if she's in Magic the Gathering, but if she's not, she definitely should. So I got to illustrate a tarot card, and the tarot card, the tarot deck is called the Chromatic Fates, and it came out on Kickstarter like yesterday. So it's funny because of the timing of things, and it's fully funded in like 3 hours, I think. I'm super glad about it. So
Congrats.
I got to, thank you so much. I got to illustrate the Ace of Coins or Ace of Pentacles, and so I went with Pentacles because that's funkier and heavier and much more fun. So I did a whole bunch of sketches and submitted them. I think I did like 7 or something. So I did this one. Oh, I'm gonna put. I know I can. Sorry. This one. And this one. And that one. Yeah. So I had a few axes to go around. Like you can see, ends are a pretty recurring theme and stuff. And tarot is a topic that I love. I'm not good or fluent at reading tarot cards or anything, but it's a kind of same thing about spirituality and philosophy. And you can believe in it or not, but it's a spiritual way of seeing life. And that's something that innately appeals to me. Whether I believe in it or not, I don't care. It's just a fun way to look at things. And then if it happens to have some similarities with what I'm experiencing at the moment, that's like something else, but it's really fun. And the Ace of Coins, of Pentacles, can sometimes relate to the imposter syndrome and to obviously greed and these types of themes, but also to the duality between feeling like the best and feeling like the worst. And when I got asked what card I would want to illustrate, and this one was in the roster, I was just, okay, this is my card because of what we talked about earlier. So this sketch was chosen. And then I made the final. Sorry about that. Oops. The final is right there. Oh.
We are still on the software. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
This is the final. There you go. And so this is like the most recent project, non-personal project that I had to, that I worked on. And other than that, it's more like what I showed you earlier about making a book to work in video game concept arts. That's the current objective. So I'm making a whole bunch of characters. I'm not gonna go through every single one of them, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. And this is another character from another universe. Like I develop tiny universes and develop the story as I go, and this becomes my book. Because if I just sit down, like we were talking about earlier, about play and the spark and the ignition and stuff, if I just sit down and I am super work-minded, I just can't get anything of quality done. I need to find the rhythm. I need to find myself in a state of play. I need to get in the flow. So I just switched from I'm looking for a job to I'm designing universes. And that's like, it's a simple mental shift and it enables everything.
Okay.
That's like super powerful for me. So there you go. That's a bit of everything I'm up to at the moment. I'm gonna have upcoming expositions, shows, maybe pandemic willing. That's like that was supposed to happen right now, and it's been postponed until further notice. So can't really communicate on that. And I want to design every single of these things on Twitch. So that was like a big a big experiment for me today to join you on Twitch, because as we talked, same in private earlier, I've been meaning to start a Twitch like right now. I should have done it last week, but I procrastinated a bit. And so it was super fun being on here. And I will be designing stuff live on Twitch someday when I get my microphone back.
When you have a link, feel free to send this to us, and I think we can share it. I think it could interest some people. And someone is asking on the chat right now if you have
Ludo is asking if you have
an
so Instagram page.
Yeah. You can follow me everywhere on the internet at Shad Paintings. So that's SHAD and paintings, all lower cases, and that's it.
There is space or underscore?
No, nothing, just at, and then Shad Paintings, all lowercase, no underscore, no space, and S after painting.
All right.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Aiden
Thank you so much.
Great. All right. Well,
great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks to you for having me. That was super fun to do. I'm really glad both you invited me on the show and that you decided to make this show, because I think I personally will be watching the next ones because I've been traveling a lot. I don't think we got to say that, but we didn't meet since the band started. So I know you go from like years back, and we were friends for a long time before the band started. But then we never got to meet in real life since the band started. And Vince, for example, I have actually never met you in real life, just through a conference like that. So
yeah, and actually the first time we ever saw each other's face or talked to each other, heard each other's voice was, I think, last year when we exchanged on the drafts for the Impassable Horizon. Before that, we had just ever exchanged via Facebook, I think, or email.
But I really look forward to meeting you guys when, like, same thing, pandemic making it possible, but also to learn on this show about the other members, because I know, for example, your video clips are insane, and I really hope the person or persons that make them will have a place on the show, because like I want to know how these types of things are done. That's like super fun. And I think that's that's a super cool opportunity to give to the people gravitating around, like not just being the band members, but everyone around contributing some form of work to it. I think that's really cool concept.
Yeah, we plan to invite maybe Arthur, who writes the lyrics, and Flavien, of course, who produced all the albums, and some other people as well. But yeah,
that will be so cool.
Stay tuned to follow all our communications.
I will. I will literally be. I don't know if I'm gonna manage to catch it live next times, but I'll definitely watch the VODs and everything. Like Flavien, I'm sure is a super interesting guy because the lyrics are insanely cool.
Yeah, Arthur.
And like I said, it's Flavien is the guy making the masters and everything.
Yeah, that's it.
I mixed them up. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Arthur is
the lyrics are just insanely cool, and I look forward to hearing about the person that just writes everything and has everything spinning through his mind. Like that must be super interesting.
All right. If there is any question in the chat, feel free to.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for having you.
I think there's something funny with your voice, Vince. I think there is a huge delay on it. I don't know if you... Maybe it's me, I don't know. But anyway, I think we will end this live stream soon now. Yeah, soon now. So yeah, feel free to ask, and thank you again to be here.
Yeah, Ben, I look really forward to seeing you again, because it's been like, I don't know how many years. It's going to be so fun. Especially at a concert. That would be the best.
When the band started, I think you were already in Brittany, let's say at the other side of the country.
Yeah.
And then
I
Canada, even further. And I think
I'm just trying to go like the furthest west, and now it didn't work, so I'm gonna go east next.
Oh really? You have some plans?
If I can. I would love to do Eastern Europe, but that's like when the pandemic is over, and when we can get visas and we can get I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. But in the meantime, meeting you guys and meeting Ben again at a Fractal Universe show would be top.
Okay. Well, we hope we will manage to make it work.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's time to end this session.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching this stream.
Exactly.
am I still able to talk, or is it like that? Huge.
All right.
No, I was just gonna thank everybody for watching this, and encourage all of you guys to follow both Shad and the band on social media, just to see more of our work. And yeah, feel free also to have a look at the pre-order page for the record, so you can as I said, the vinyl is gonna look amazing, I think, with all the details from the visuals. So yeah, definitely maybe check out that. And yeah, this will be uploaded on YouTube, I think, for all of you guys to rewatch it.
Yep.
Afterwards. So we're gonna also post the links over there from all of his and our pages. And yeah,
thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much, Shad, and see you next time, guys.
Bye.